The door burst open with a crack like thunder, shattering the fragile sanctuary of steam and solitude I'd built around myself in that cramped Brooklyn apartment shower. Water pounded my skin like accusations, but it was Riley's voice, raw, choked, almost a whisper, that hit harder. "Hudson? Oh God, Hudson. I didn't mean." His words dissolved into the hiss of the spray, but his eyes, those storm-gray eyes I'd stolen glances at for years, locked onto mine through the fogged glass, stripping me bare in ways the hot water never could. In that frozen heartbeat, as the world tilted and my heart slammed against my ribs, I realized the lie we'd both been living had just cracked wide open, and there was no turning back. I slammed the faucet off, the sudden silence deafening, broken only by the drip-drip from the showerhead and the ragged rhythm of our breathing. Riley stood there in the doorway, his broad shoulders filling the frame like he owned the damn place, which, in a way, he did. We'd been roommates for 3 years now, ever since we'd crashed together in the shoebox walk-up in Williamsburg after college, chasing dreams in the city that chewed up dreamers like us and spat out the bones. He was the straight-laced one, the finance bro with the easy grin and the endless string of dates that made my stomach twist in knots I pretended were just indigestion. And me, Hudson freaking Ellis, the graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs, the one who buried his crushes under layers of sarcasm and late-night whiskey. "Shit, man. I'm sorry," Riley stammered, his face flushing crimson under the harsh bathroom light, that perpetual 5 o'clock shadow making him look even more rugged, more untouchable. He averted his eyes too late. I'd already seen the flicker, the way his gaze had lingered a second too long on the water-slick planes of my body before snapping away like it had burned him. "I thought you were out." Door was unlocked. I just needed to grab my charger. I grabbed the towel from the rack, wrapping it around my waist with hands that shook more from the adrenaline than the chill seeping in. "Yeah, well, next time knock like a normal human," I shot back, but my voice cracked, betraying the storm inside. Normal. What the hell was normal between us anymore? We'd shared everything, late-night confessions over cheap beer on the fire escape, road trips upstate where we'd howl bad karaoke into the wind, even that godforsaken flu last winter when he nursed me back with Gatorade and bad jokes. But this was the line we'd never crossed, the one I'd towed with every stolen look when he wasn't watching. He backed out, mumbling another apology, the door clicking shut behind him like a guilty verdict. I leaned against the tile, the cold biting into my overheated skin, and let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. My reflection in the mirror was a ghost, hazel eyes shadowed with exhaustion, lips still tingling from the almost kiss of vulnerability. 25 years old, and I'd just been caught naked in more ways than one. What now? Pretend it didn't happen? Laugh it off over pizza like we always did? Or finally admit that the best friend I'd fallen for harder than gravity wasn't just a safe harbor. He was the goddamn hurricane. Down the hall, I could hear him clattering in the kitchen, the fridge door slamming like punctuation to his nerves. I pulled on jeans and a faded Mets tee, the fabric clinging uncomfortably to my damp skin, and padded out barefoot. The apartment smelled like rain-soaked streets and the takeout tie we'd demolished last night, remnants scattered on the coffee table amid Riley's scattered spreadsheets and my sketchpads. He was at the sink, back to me, scrubbing a plate that didn't need it, his knuckles white around the sponge. "Rye," I said, leaning against the doorframe, forcing levity into my tone. "You gonna stand there washing ghosts all night? Or you want to talk about it?" He froze, shoulders tensing under his threadbare NYU hoodie, then turned slowly, that boyish smile he weaponized so well creeping back like armor. Talk about what? Me interrupting your one-man spa day? Come on, Huds. Water under the bridge. Or shower, I guess. He chuckled, but it died quick, his eyes searching mine for the minefield we'd just stepped into. I crossed the room, hopping onto the counter beside him, our knees almost brushing, a proximity that suddenly felt electric, charged. Look, it's fine. Really. But you look like you saw a poltergeist in there. Everything okay? Riley set the plate down, drying his hands on a dish towel with deliberate slowness, buying time. Up close like this, I could see the faint freckles across his nose from that summer we spent lifeguarding at Coney Island, the way his hair curled just so at the nape of his neck. God, I was in trouble. It's not. I mean, yeah, I'm good. Just surprised, I guess. You're, built like that. Didn't peg you for the gym rat type. I barked a laugh, genuine this time, the tension easing a fraction. Says the guy who drags me to spin class every Saturday. Hypocrite, but his words hung there, a compliment wrapped in awkwardness, and for a split second, I let myself imagine what if that surprise was more than platonic shock? What if those eyes had darkened with want, not embarrassment? We fell into our rhythm after that, like we always did, cracking open beers, flipping on the Knicks game, trash-talking the refs until the weirdness faded to background noise. But it didn't, not really. Not when his arm slung casual over the back of the couch, fingers grazing my shoulder. Not when he leaned in to steal a fry from my plate, his breath warm against my ear. And definitely not when, at halftime, he turned to me with that serious furrow in his brow and said, "Hey, Huds, for real, I'm glad you're you." Whatever that looks like, I swallowed hard, the words sticking like thorns. Yeah. Me too. But as the buzzer blared and the crowd on TV roared, I wondered if he could hear the unspoken plea in my chest. See me. Really see me. The next few days blurred into that fragile normalcy we clung to, the city pulsing around us like it always did, horns blaring on Bedford Avenue, the subway's metallic screech underfoot, steam rising from manhole covers like sighs from the concrete jungle. I threw myself into work, tweaking logos for some startup that promised to revolutionize kombucha delivery. But my sketches kept veering off script. Abstract swirls that looked suspiciously like the curve of a jawline, the arch of a back. Riley, meanwhile, buried himself in his Bloomberg terminal, chasing stock tips that paid our rent while he dodged my sidelong glances. It was Thursday night when the first crack widened. We'd hit our usual dive bar, the Rusty Anchor, a hole in the wall with sticky floors and a jukebox stocked with Springsteen and Too Much Journey. 2 whiskeys in, and Riley was animated, recounting some office drama about his boss's bad toupee, his laugh booming over the clink of glasses. I nodded along, nursing my drink, but my eyes kept drifting to the way his shirt stretched across his chest when he gestured, the easy confidence that made him magnetic to everyone, especially me. "You listening, Ellis?" he teased, nudging my foot under the table. "Or you plotting world domination with your pencils again? Both?" I quipped, but then the whiskey loosened my tongue, and before I could stop it, "You ever wonder what it'd be like if we weren't? If things were different?" He paused, glass halfway to his lips, that storm gray gaze sharpening. "Different how?" I shrugged, heat creeping up my neck. I dunno. Like, if we weren't just bros. If one of us looked at the other and saw more. The bar noise faded to a hum, the world narrowing to the space between us. Riley set his drink down, slow, deliberate. Hudson, he said, voice low, threaded with something I couldn't name. Fear? Curiosity. I've thought about it. More than I should. My heart stuttered. Yeah. He leaned in, the scent of his cologne, cedar, and citrus, mixing with the smoky air. But what if it ruins everything? You're my best friend. The one guy who gets it, the city, the grind, all of it. I can't lose that. You won't, I whispered, reckless hope surging. Our hands brushed on the scarred wood table, and neither pulled away. Electricity crackled, undeniable now, and in that dingy booth under neon signs flickering live music tonight, I felt the shift, the dam breaking, the truth spilling out. We stumbled home in the witching hour, the streets alive with cabs and laughter, our arms linked like it was nothing, like it was everything. At the door, keys fumbling in my hand, Riley turned me gently, his palm cupping my cheek, thumb tracing the line of my jaw. Hudson, he murmured, and then his lips were on mine, soft at first, tentative, then hungry, like he'd been starving for this as long as I had. The kiss tasted like whiskey and possibility, his body pressing mine against the peeling paint of the hallway wall, solid and warm and real. My fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer, and for the first time, the ache in my chest eased into something sweet, something shared. We broke apart gasping, foreheads touching, his breath mingling with mine. Inside, he said, voice rough. Now, the apartment door barely clicked shut before clothes hit the floor. His hoodie, my tee, jeans pooling at ankles like shed inhibitions. In the dim glow of the street lamps slanting through the blinds, we explored each other with hands and mouths that trembled with reverence, mapping scars and freckles like sacred text. Riley's touch was fire and anchor, his whispers, God, Huds, you're beautiful, undoing me thread by thread. We moved to my bed, the sheets twisting under us, bodies sinking in a rhythm that felt predestined, inevitable. After, tangled and spent, his head on my chest, he traced lazy circles on my skin. This is good, right? The best, I said, kissing his temple, believing it down to my bones. But dawn brings clarity, and with it, the first whispers of doubt. Riley was up before me, coffee brewing, his back to the counter as I shuffled in, gloriously rumpled. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Morning, handsome, morning. I accepted the mug, our fingers brushing, charged still, but now laced with hesitation. You okay? He nodded too quickly. Yeah. Just processing. Big night. We sat at the table, the city waking outside with its cacophony of sirens and chatter, but inside, silence stretched taut. Talk to me, Rye. I pressed, heart thudding. If this is too much. No, he cut in, fierce. It's not. I want this. You. It's just. My folks are coming into town next week. And work's got that dinner with the execs. People expect. You know, the straight Riley. The word landed like a slap. straight. The label we danced around, the one that had kept me in the friend zone for years. So what? We don't have to tell the world. This is us. I know. He reached for my hand, squeezing. I do. Promise. But promises are fragile in the city that never sleeps. And as the week unfolded, I felt the pull, the way he'd flinch when my hand lingered too long in public, the quick subject changes when talk turned personal. Still, the nights were ours, stolen moments in the dark, his laughter muffled against my neck, confessions murmured like prayers. I think I've loved you forever, he admitted one evening, rain lashing the windows as we lay entwined. Just didn't know what to call it. Tears pricked my eyes. Me too. Friday brought the storm. His parents arrived, good Midwestern stock, all khakis and casseroles, descending on our apartment like a Norman Rockwell fever dream gone wrong. Mrs. Harlan fussed over the dust bunnies under the couch. Mr. Harlan clapped Riley on the back, booming about that promotion you deserve, son. I played the affable roommate, charming them with stories of our college hijinks. But inside, I was a live wire, hyper-aware of every glance Riley shot my way, grateful, guarded. Dinner was at their hotel, a stuffy midtown spot with crystal chandeliers and waiters in tuxes. Riley's hand found mine under the table, a secret anchor, but then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, face paling. Work, he muttered, excusing himself. He didn't come back for 20 minutes. When he did, his tie was loosened, eyes distant. Everything all right? I asked later, as we cabbed home, his parents chattering obliviously in the back. Fine, he said, staring out at the blur of lights. But it wasn't. That night, he turned away when I reached for him, mumbling about a headache. The bed felt vast, cold. Saturday morning, I woke to an empty apartment, a note on the fridge. Meeting ran long. Brunch with folks. Love. Love. The word mocked me as I paced, sketching furiously to drown the unease dark, jagged lines that bled off the page. He came back flushed, evasive, smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't mine. Sorry, Huds. Dad wanted to talk career paths. With perfume, the accusation slipped out, sharp. His eyes narrowed. What? No. That was nothing. Some hug from Mom's friend. I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But the seed was planted, doubt rooting deep. The lie festered like an untreated wound, small at first. A missed text here, a late night at the office there, but by midweek, it had swollen into something ugly, pulsing with infection. Riley and I circled each other in the apartment like wary cats, the air thick with unspoken accusations. Our touches, once electric, now sparked with friction. His kisses grew perfunctory, like obligations checked off a list. I'm just stressed, he'd say, pulling away when I'd press for more. His gray eyes shuttered behind walls I'd thought we'd dismantled together. I threw myself into a new project, a mural commission for a queer youth center in Bushwick, pouring my confusion onto the wall in vibrant strokes of azure and crimson, figures entwined in defiant embrace. The kids there, with their bold piercings and unapologetic stories, reminded me of the boy I'd been at 18, hiding crushes in lockers, terrified of the word gay even as it defined me. Art's truth serum, One teen told me, spray can in hand. Makes you face what you're dodging. Her words haunted me as I scrubbed paint from my nails that night, wondering if Riley was dodging us. He came home late again, Tiaskew, carrying the scent of bourbon and something floral jasmine, maybe the kind that lingered on expensive blouses. Another client dinner? I asked from the couch, remote idle in my lap, the TV droning some cop show neither of us cared about. Yeah, he said, shrugging off his jacket, avoiding my eyes. Schmoozing. You know how it is. I did. But the knot in my gut whispered otherwise. With who? That exec from last month? The one with the red hair? Riley paused, halfway to the fridge, his back stiffening. What? No. Jesus. Huds. What's with the third degree? The dam broke then, words tumbling out in a rush I'd held back for days. Because you're different, right? Distant. Like you're already halfway out the door. And I smell her on you. Again. If this is too much, if I'm too much, just say it. Don't ghost me in our own damn home. He whirled, face a mask of indignation cracking at the edges. Her? It's nothing. A handshake. A hug goodbye. You're paranoid. Paranoid. I stood, heat rising. Or paying attention. We've been here before, the almosts, the what-ifs. I thought we were past pretending. His laugh was bitter, hollow. Pretending? This coming from the guy who spent years eye-fucking me from across the room without saying a word? At least I'm trying. Hudson. Trying to keep my life from imploding. The words landed like shrapnel, each one embedding deeper. Your life? What about ours? Or was that just a phase? Something to experiment with before you went back to the safe side? Riley's eyes flashed. Storm clouds gathering. You think that's what this is? Some gay awakening bullshit? I chose you. But it's not that simple. My job, my family, they don't get it. They see labels, scandals. And you make it sound like I should just flip a switch. Because you could. I shot back, voice breaking. Walk away. Pretend it was a drunken mistake. I've seen you do it with everything else, jobs, girls, dreams. But not with me. Not like this. He stepped closer. Close enough I could see the pulse jumping in his throat, the flecks of green in his irises. I don't want to walk away. But I need time. Space. To figure out how to make this work without losing everything. Time, I echoed, the word tasting like ash. How much? A week? A month? Until the next client dinner? Stop. His hand shot out, gripping my arm. Not hard, but firm, grounding. I love you. Okay, that's not the lie. But love without trust? It was a house of cards in a gale. We stood there, breaths mingling, the fight ebbing into exhausted silence. Then, tentative, he pulled me into a hug, his chin resting on my head like old times. I'm sorry, he whispered. Let's not do this. Not tonight. We didn't. Instead, we ordered Chinese, ate it cross-legged on the floor amid takeout boxes and half-hearted apologies, the TV murmuring in the background. His head found my shoulder, my fingers carding through his hair, and for a fragile hour, felt like we could rebuild. But as he drifted off, snoring softly, I stared at the ceiling cracks spiderwebbing like our fractures, wondering how long until it all came crashing. The weekend brought a reprieve, or so I thought, a planned escape to the Catskills, our reset button cabin rental Riley had booked months ago, back when kisses were new and secrets shared. We loaded up his beat-up Jeep at dawn, the city skyline shrinking in the rearview as we merged onto the Taconic Parkway, trees blurring into emerald tunnels. Riley cranked the playlist, Bon Iver for the melancholy stretches, the Killers for the anthemic climbs, his hand on my thigh a steady weight, thumb stroking absent patterns that sent warmth pooling low in my belly. "Remember that time we got lost up here?" he said, grinning as we hit a familiar curve. "Ended up at that diner with the world's worst pie?" I laughed, the sound easing the tightness in my chest. "Yeah, and you flirted with the waitress to get free coffee." "Smooth. Hey, skills." He winked, but his eyes held mine a beat longer, apologetic. "This weekend's ours. No phones, no bullshit. Just us." The cabin was a rustic dream. Cedar logs, a stone fireplace, a porch overlooking a lake that mirrored the October sky in fiery hues. We unpacked in companionable silence, then hiked the trails, leaves crunching underfoot, the air crisp with pine and earth. At a overlook, wind whipping our jackets, Riley pulled me close, his lips brushing my ear. "I meant it, Huds. I love you. More than the fear." We made love that afternoon on a blanket by the water, slow and unhurried, sunlight dappling our skin like blessings. His touches were worship, fingers tracing collarbones, mouth mapping hips, each gasp and murmur a vow. "You're mine," he breathed against my throat, and I believed him, lost in the rhythm of us, the world reduced to salt-slick skin and shared breaths. But paradise has pitfalls. That night, as flames crackled in the hearth and we sipped wine from mismatched mugs, Riley's phone, supposed to be off, buzzed once, insistent. He ignored it, but curiosity gnawed. "Check it," I said lightly. "Could be important." He hesitated, then flipped it over. The screen lit his face in blue, a text from Lila exec. "Missed you at dinner. Drinks tomorrow? XO." The mug slipped from my hand, wine staining the rug like blood. "Lila?" Riley's face drained of color. "It's nothing." "Work. Work with kisses?" Rage and hurt collided. A toxic brew. "You promised space, not lies." "How long? Right? Since the shower? Before?" "No, God. No." He lunged for me, but I jerked back. "It's casual. Flirting." "She doesn't mean casual." I laughed, shattered. "Like us? Your experiment. That's not fair." His voice cracked, desperation etching lines around his mouth. "I'm scared, okay, of labels, of losing you because of this." "But I haven't slept with her." The question hung, venomous. He looked away, the firelight casting shadows that hid nothing. "Once. Before us." It meant nothing. Before us. But the timeline blurred in my mind, the dinners, the scents. "Or after. Tell me the truth, Riley." For once, silence stretched, damning. Then, quiet as confession. "After the first time we." After that night. Panicked. Thought if I could go back to normal. The room spun. Betrayal, sharp as glass, sliced through. "You used her to erase me." "No." He grabbed my shoulders, eyes wild. "To convince myself it was a fluke." But it wasn't. You're not. Hudson, please. I shoved him off, storming to the bedroom, slamming the door on his pleas. Curled on the bed, sobs racking me, I heard him pacing outside, the cabin creaking like my resolve. Hours later, he slipped in, lying beside me without touching. I'm done with her. With all of it. If you'll let me fix this. I wanted to rage, to leave. But love's a stubborn weed, rooting despite poison. Prove it, I whispered into the dark. He did, in whispers and touches that night, but dawn brought the real test, trust, fractured, demanding mending. Back in the city, the Catskills' glow faded fast under the grind of concrete and deadlines. Riley was a man possessed, deleting contacts, blocking numbers, showing me his phone like a talisman against temptation. See? Clean slate, he'd say, kissing my knuckles over breakfast burritos from the truck on the corner. I nodded, wanting to trust, but the scar tissue pulled tight, constant itch. Work swallowed us. My mural unveiling at the center drew a crowd of activists and artists, their cheers a balm, but Riley's absence, stuck in meetings, stung like salt in the wound. Proud of you, he texted, heart emoji trailing, but it wasn't the same as his hand in mine amid the chaos. November crept in with its chill winds off the East River, leaves skittering like regrets across Prospect Park. We walked there Sundays, bundled in scarves, steam from our breaths mingling as we fed the ducks stale bread. Remember when we raced to that fountain? Riley asked one gray afternoon, his arm looped through mine, casual as breathing. You tripped and face-planted. Epic. I shoved him playfully. Lies. You pushed me. Laughter bubbled up, real and rare, easing the undercurrent of unease. These moments, small, domestic, were lifelines, reminders of why I'd stayed, why I'd fight for the boy who'd seen me naked and stayed anyway. But shadows lengthened. Lila didn't vanish quietly. A week after our return, an envelope arrived, unmarked, shoved under the door like contraband. Inside, a photo, glossy and damning. Riley and her, lips locked in a booth at some upscale lounge, his hand on her thigh. Timestamp, 2 nights ago. A note scrawled on the back. He said it was over. But actions speak louder. Watch your back, roommate. My vision tunneled, the room tilting. I clutched the edge of the table, breath shallow, as if the air had been sucked out. Betrayal's second wave crashed harder, laced with humiliation, roommate. Like I was the side character in his straight guy redemption arc. When Riley burst in an hour later, whistling off-key, tie slung over his shoulder, the evidence waited like an ambush. Huds? You home? He froze at the sight of me, pale and shaking, the photo splayed on the counter. What the? Explain. My voice was ice, steady despite the quake inside. He snatched it up, face crumpling. This is old. Before the cabin. I swear. Bullshit. I jabbed the timestamp. Last Tuesday. The late meeting. Riley's mouth opened, closed, guilt etching deep. I went for drinks. To end it. Clean break. But things escalated. One kiss. Stupid, drunk mistake. I stopped it. Came home to you. To me. Fury ignited. White hot. Or to your conscience? God, Riley, how many mistakes before it's a pattern? I'm not your safety net while you dip your toe in both worlds. It's not like that, he advanced, desperate, hands raking through his hair. I'm in this with you. But it's hard fighting years of what I thought I should be. My dad called yesterday, asking about grandkids, settling down, and work. Lila's connected. If this leaks, I recoiled. So now I'm the scandal? The thing that could tank your career? No, Hudson. Listen. He reached for me, but I sidestepped, the space between us a chasm. You're ashamed. The truth landed soft, lethal. Of us. Of me. His silence screamed yes. Tears welled in his eyes, mirroring mine. I hate this part of me. The fear. But I love you enough to fight it. Give me a chance. I searched his face. The boy who'd bandaged my scraped knees at 12. The man who'd held me through Dad's funeral at 20. Fractured, but familiar. One, I said, voice raw. Last one. But no more half measures. All in, or we're done. All in, he vowed, pulling me into a crushing embrace. We clung there, sobs mingling, the photo curling in the sink like a defeated foe. December dusted the city in snow, blanketing sins under white forgiveness. Riley changed visibly, viscerally. He came out to his sister over FaceTime, her squeals of support echoing through the apartment like victory bells. At the office holiday party, he introduced me as my partner, hand firm in mine, ignoring the raised brows and awkward pauses. Lila, transferred to Chicago after a tearful confrontation he recounted over eggnog, told her I was gay. Done pretending, pride swelled in me, tentative but growing. Our nights deepened, candlelit dinners of pasta and Pinot, slow dances in the living room to Coltrane records, bodies moving as one under the Christmas lights strung crooked across the headboard. You're my home, he murmured one eve, tracing my spine as snow flurried outside. Always were, but high tides recede, and trouble brewed in the Harlan household. Christmas loomed, an invitation extended with veiled barbs. Bring Hudson. Family time. Riley's excitement warred with nerves, his pacing a metronome to my own anxiety. They'll love you, he insisted, packing his duffel with the optimism of a man rewriting his narrative. We flew Midwest, the Harlan home a colonial in suburban Ohio manicured lawn, wreath on the door, the scent of gingerbread wafting like nostalgia's trap. Mrs. Harlan hugged too tight, eyes appraising, Mr. Harlan's handshake lingered, probing. Dinner was a minefield, turkey carved with precision, questions lobbed like grenades. So, Hudson, what do you do? She asked, fork poised. Graphic design. Freelance mostly. Got a big project with a nonprofit queer youth stuff. Polite nods, but the air chilled. Then Riley, emboldened by wine, Huds is incredible. And, full disclosure, we're together. Like, together, forks clattered. Mrs. Harlan's smile froze porcelain. Together? As in? Gay, Riley said, chin lifted. In love. Sorry if that's a shock, but it's us, Mr. Harlan cleared his throat, face reddening. Son, this is unexpected. We've always imagined. Imagined wrong. Riley cut in, hand finding mine under the tablecloth. I love him. End of story. The table descended into stunned silence, broken only by the tick of a grandfather clock. Mrs. Harlan excused herself, tears glistening. Mr. Harlan muttered about needing time. Riley's grip tightened, a lifeline amid the wreckage. We fled to the guest room early, the door locking out judgment. That was brave, I whispered, pulling him close on the floral quilt. Scary as hell, he admitted, burying his face in my neck. But worth it. For you. Lovemaking followed, urgent and affirming, the house's creaks fading to irrelevance. Yet morning brought fallout. A stiff family meeting in the den, Bibles and brochures on support groups, laid out like peace offerings. We love you, Mr. Harlan said, voice gruff. But this is a choice. A hard road. It's not a choice, Riley snapped, rising. It's me. And if you can't accept Hudson, you lose us both. Ultimatums hung heavy as we packed. The drive to the airport a funeral procession. In the terminal, his parents called, apologies laced with caveats, invitations to pray on it. Riley hung up, eyes fierce. Fuck that. We're building our own family. New Year's Eve sealed it. Rooftop party in Brooklyn. Fireworks blooming over the skyline as we kissed at midnight. Champagne bubbles on our tongues. To us, he toasted, clinking glasses with our ragtag crew, my art friends, his open-minded colleagues. No shadows, just light. But fate's a cruel editor, trimming happy endings short. January hit with a vengeance. Riley's promotion came with relocation, London, 2 years, a chance to go global. It's everything I've worked for, he said over tie on the fire escape, city lights twinkling like distant stars. But leaving you kills me. Don't, I begged, heart fracturing anew. Turn it down. We fight for this. I am. His eyes shimmered. Come with me. Or visit. We make it work, long distance, whatever. You're my everything. Temptation ward with roots. My mural series expanding. The youth center needing me. The city that had forged us. 6 months, I countered. Trial run. If it breaks us, it won't. He kissed me fierce, sealing the pact. Yet cracks spiderwebbed fast. Time zones mangling calls. His texts growing sparse amid mergers and pubs. Miss you, he'd type, but photos surfaced, Riley at galas, arm around sharp-suited Brits, captions winking networking, paranoia or pattern repeating. The call came in March, his voice tinny over the line. Huds, we need to talk. The line crackled with static. Or maybe that was just the fracture in my chest widening as Riley's words hung there, heavy as the Atlantic between us. Talk, I echoed, sinking onto the couch in my apartment, the space echoing emptier since he'd left 2 months prior. Snow had melted into slushy streets outside, mirroring the mess inside me. Sketches piled high on the table, takeout containers fossilizing in the sink. His side of the closet a ghost town of hangers. I've met someone, he said, the words tumbling out like he'd rehearsed them in front of some foggy London mirror. Not planned. Just happened. He's in my program, an analyst, sharp as hell. We grab pints after class, and one thing led to what My mind supplied horrors. Tangled sheets in a flat overlooking the Thames, Riley's laugh echoing off unfamiliar walls, his hands, our hands, on someone else's skin. How long? I managed. Voice a stranger's, flat and far away. A few weeks. Casual. But it's easy. No hiding, no family drama. Here, it's just normal, normal. The word he'd chased like a holy grail, the one that had nearly drowned us before. Betrayal's third act, sharper for its distance, lanced through me, not a knife, but a dull saw, grinding slow. You promised, I whispered. All in. I know, his sigh crackled the line. And I meant it. But distance. It amplifies everything. The doubts. The what-ifs. I thought space would clarify, but it muddied it. I'm sorry, Huds. So damn sorry, sorry. The bomb that burned. We talked, or I listened, as he unpacked it, the isolation of expat life, the freedom of a city where no one knew his history, the allure of uncomplicated affection. You're still my best friend, he said, voice breaking. Always will be. But this love, it's evolving, evolving. Into extinction, for us. I hung up after numb agreements to stay in touch, then shattered, a howl from my gut that echoed off the high ceilings, tears hot and furious. The apartment, once our sanctuary, now a mausoleum of memories. The dent in the wall from that playful wrestling match, the scuff on the floor from his boots. I texted my sister, it's over. Need you. And she arrived at dawn with bagels and bourbon, holding me as sobs racked, the story spilling in jagged fragments. Spring thawed the city, but winter lingered in my bones. I channeled the ache into art, a series of portraits for the youth center, faces of lovers lost and found, strokes bold with grief and grit. This is raw, my mentor said at the opening, champagne flute in hand, the gallery buzzing with murmurs of powerful and visceral. Riley's email arrived that night, saw the show online. Proud. Wish I could be there. Attached. A ticket stub from a West End musical, a subtle reminder of his new world. Months blurred. Therapy sessions in a sunlit office overlooking the park, where I unpacked the shame, not just his betrayal, but my own, for loving so fiercely a man who couldn't match it. You're worthy of reciprocity, my counselor said, her voice steady as gospel. Friends rallied nights at the Rusty Anchor, drag brunches in the village, a blind date with a barista named Theo who laughed at my jokes but sparked no fire. Healing's not linear, my sister reminded over coffee runs, her hand on mine echoing Riley's once. Summer scorched in, humidity thick as unresolved longing. Package arrived, his things shipped back in a nondescript box. Inside, the hoodie I'd stolen for movie nights, a mixtape CD labeled our road trip anthems, and a letter, handwriting familiar as a scar. Hudson, words fail here, as they always did when it mattered. I thought London would fix me, make me the man you deserved. But it exposed the boy I still am. Scared, selfish, running from truths too big to hold. You saw me first, loved me hardest, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. No excuses. I fucked up. Royally. If forgiveness is a thing, offer it to yourself first. You're the light I chased but couldn't catch. Be brilliant, Be free. Forever yours in friendship, if you'll have it. Riley. Tears blurred the ink, but I folded it away, not burning it yet. Freedom tasted bittersweet. A solo trip to Fire Island, waves crashing as I danced under stars with strangers who became friends, bodies moving fluid and unashamed. Back home, the mural expanded, a community wall now, hands of all colors adding their strokes, stories layered like lives. Fall returned, leaves turning gold as I turned 30. The youth center threw a bash, my exhibit's anniversary, and the crowd swelled. Activists, kids with fresh tattoos, even Theo, who showed up with a shy grin and a six-pack. Laughter flowed easy, the air electric with possibility. Then, the door swung open, and there he was, Riley, leaner somehow, hair longer, gray eyes tentative under the string lights. Heard about the party, he said, hands shoved in pockets. That old hoodie, my hoodie, clinging to his frame. Couldn't stay away. My heart lurched. Anger. A flicker of the old pull. How's London? Left last month. He stepped closer. Crowd parting like it sensed the gravity. Came to my senses. Or lost them. Either way, I'm here. For what? The question hung, guarded. You, simple, raw. To say I was wrong. To beg no, earn a place back in your orbit. Not as lover, not yet. As friend. The one who walked in and changed everything, for the better. Eventually, I studied him. The lines etched deeper, the humility softening his edges. Forgiveness isn't absolution. It's a choice, daily. One coffee, I said finally, voice steady. Tomorrow. Neutral ground. His smile bloomed, tentative sunrise. I'd like that. We met at a cafe in the park. Steam rising from lattes as birds chattered overhead. Talk meandered. His failed fling ended in mutual not quite. My thriving commissions. The kids who'd painted rainbows over my blues. No promises, no rushes. But as we walked the paths, shoulders brushing accidental on purpose, I felt the stir. Not the frantic love of before, but something human, tempered, flawed, and full. You're different, he noted, kicking a pebble. So are you, wiser, perhaps. Or just older, scarred survivors in a city that devours the weak. Winter whispered in, but this time, I welcomed it. Riley became a fixture again, sporadic at first, coffees evolving to dinners, his laugh filling the apartment like homecoming. No labels, no leaps. Just presence, him helping with sketches, me cheering his new gig at a nonprofit, ironic, fitting. One night, snow blanketing the fire escape, we shared whiskey, knees touching. Missed this, he said, eyes on mine. Me too, honesty, unadorned. He leaned in, slow, question in his gaze. I met him halfway, the kiss soft, testing, tender. Not a dam breaking, but a bridge mending, plank by plank. We're not fixed. Betrayals leave echoes, doubts linger like fog. But in the quiet hours, as the city hums its lullaby, I hold him closer, grateful for the man who walked in and shattered me, only to help piece a stronger mosaic. Love, I've learned, isn't perfection. It's persistence, human and haphazard, blooming in the cracks where light sneaks through. And in America, the land of reinvention, we're rewriting our story, one vulnerable page at a time.